Hi, let's talk about queerness. That's right, I decided to take advantage of this lovely afternoon sun and the rainbows that are being created by my light catcher to talk about something near and dear to my heart, which is queerness and queering things. I got my notes. Bam. So let's get into it. Yeah, I thought I might talk about what I imagine or what I think of as a societal definition of queerness. And I wanted to talk about then what my definition of queerness is. And I was curious about what your definitions are and how you might have come to your own personal queerness. Yeah. So let's talk about it. I got to thinking about it because I was looking at the acronym for my job, because it's Pride Month. And yeah, the LGBTQIA plus community. L for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, plus. Because there are many more identities out there that are part of our community, and the plus names you without being explicitly named. I think. I don't know. Because I got to thinking about how did this assemblage of identities get pushed together into this one community. Some of them aren't even sexualities, particularly queerness for me, I should say. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, lesbian. That is a clear picture of both your gender and who you are attracted to and who you desire. And maybe even who your community is, right? Like women's community. Not so with queerness. If I say that I am a queer, does that give you any indicator of my gender? Who I might like to date or not date? No. So that to me affirms my theory that I've been working off of, that queerness is more of a, for me, lifestyle, thought pattern, political stance. Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about that. I feel like people define queer in different ways, but I feel like when people picture a queer, what they're picturing is an AFAB white person under the age of 30. And, let me know if your perception of that is different. But that's my perception, and I feel like that's the larger societal picture of who is a queer. And I feel like queer people need to do some querying, some interrogation around that. Like, what are the racism and particularly anti-blackness problems in the queer community? I feel like, what are the ageism problems in the community? Yeah, we love queer youth, but there's no queer elder spaces. Yeah, I feel like queer community is reflecting some of the bullshit of the larger community, and we can do a lot better. But that's not what this video is about. My definition of queer is, first of all, an action verb, to queer. Yeah, I feel like queering is about questioning, interrogating, disrupting, basically trying to make a better world for a wider array of people, if that makes sense. I think that there are other communities that have a similar thought pattern, a similar feel to them. They just use different language. And I feel like when people are talking about weirdos and weirdo community, or radical and radical communities, counterculture communities, I feel like Black folks might say African with the K. I think that we're all talking about disrupting the status quo, and in that way, queering. Yeah, I feel like queering is about questioning the models that exist. For example, like housing. A traditional housing model might have you, move out of your parents' house when you're 18, partner with someone and buy a single family home that you live in forever. But what would a queer housing model be? Could you possibly live with your parents longer? Could more than one generation exist in the same housing unit? Could there be multiple housing units? Could you house the homeless people in your direct community? Yeah, the possibilities are endless. And when you think about a queered model of things, or what if there had been queer marriage? That's one of the saddest historical moments for me in my life, is how we settled for gay marriage, which is basically a replicating of the traditional model where two people get married and then they receive the tax break on their two-person union. And what would a queer marriage model look like? What would it look like if disabled people could get married and not lose their benefits? Or what would it look like if poly people could get married and not have to choose and make a hierarchy of their relationships? What would it mean for an asexual person to get marriage benefits? Yeah. What if marriage could actually include us all? Yeah. That's always really sad for me. Sorry. Just got to admit it. This is really sad. But anyway, yeah. So queering is about looking at what is and thinking and acting in a way that would suggest that we could change it. Yeah. In its essence, basically. But also I'm a very romantic person, so yeah, there's that. Pisces realness. So yeah, what about you? What do you think queerness is? How do you define it for yourself? Is queerness just a sexuality? And yeah, if it is, then who are the queers? Who are they dating? Where do they live? What do they do? Or is queerness more of a expansive concept? And where do you bring your queerness? Are you allowed to have it all the time? Or like most of the time, but not at work? Yeah. What's queerness? Where is it? Why is it? These are the questions. Anyway, that's my whole rant about queerness. Happy Pride, and I'll talk to you next week. Love you. Bye.